The following review may contain spoilers. The King of Staten Island is the latest film from the great comedy director Judd Apatow. There are many good points to this film. It's got great acting throughout, including the always good Marissa Tomei. We have another good performance from Bill Burr, who was really good in The Mandalorian. Steve Buscemi has a couple of good scenes, and Judd Apatow's daughter Maud Apatow, who has an interesting look and screen presence, and I think we're going to see a lot more of her in the future. The ending of this film is very moving, not only the part where they dedicate the film and show a photo of Pete Davidson's real-life father, but the last shot of the film where Pete Davidson's character looks out at the city of Manhattan. It goes with the message of the film, which tackles its themes in a subtle way. His mother kicks him out of the house, but that's not what propels the character to finally grow up. It's a series of quiet little conversations, and I felt this choice was interesting. Usually in these types of movies where the character needs to grow up, there's big events, big turning points that propel him, but here it's just a series of little quiet conversations that steer him towards the correct path. Normally, Judd Apatow movies are long, but they don't feel long. This one, however, did feel a little bit long. It dragged in certain parts. Another issue was the abrupt changes in tone. Apatow is normally able to mix lowbrow comedy with like an emotional story. We're always attached to his characters on an emotional level, and this is kind of a contradictory mix, but Apatow somehow always manages to make this work. In this film, the mixture did not work in some parts. For example, there's a scene where Pete Davidson picks up a baseball bat and smashes up his room in a rage. The very next scene after that, he goes to visit his tattooed friend in jail, who makes a joke about someone needing to take care of his cat named Sprinkles. It seemed that Apatow wanted to really push the drama in this film a little more than his previous work, but the result was just really jarring tonal shifts. Another slightly negative point is Pete Davidson himself. He doesn't seem to be a strong lead performer. He just seems to have like a younger brother vibe. Also, he's following in the footsteps of other Apatow leads like Steve Carell, Seth Rogen, Adam Sandler, Leslie Mann, and Paul Rudd, and I think we can objectively say he's just a notch below those performers. My final rating for The King of Staten Island is 2.5 stars. As of the making of this video, Rotten Tomatoes is 72%, which makes the critics in the ballpark for this film. Here's a quick ranking of all of Judd Apatow's films. Just a warning, there are spoilers if you haven't seen these. I've seen all 7 of his directing efforts, well, actually 6.5, as we start up with number 7, The Zen Diaries of Gary Shandling. This is a 4-hour HBO documentary. With all due respects to Gary Shandling, who is an innovative and influential comedian. Now, it doesn't matter who you think is funnier in terms of pop culture impact alone. If Gary Shandling deserves a 4-hour documentary, what does Eddie Murphy deserve, 300 hours? At number 6 is The King of Staten Island. At number 5, Trainwreck. I remember being excited about this movie and its concept, but it seemed to abandon that initial concept to make a run-of-the-mill romantic comedy. I wish she stayed the train wreck throughout the whole movie while she was deciding whether or not to stay with Bill Hader. Then we could have had a bunch of scenes with her hooking up with one weirdo after another. Apatow could have used his stable of actors to make cameos during these scenes. Imagine the comedic potential with Seth Rogen, Steve Carell, Adam Sandler, Craig Robinson, whoever, playing these random weirdos that Amy Schumer hooks up with. I felt like this movie had a lot of potential but was just underwritten. At number 4, the underrated This Is 40. I laughed throughout the whole thing. At number 3, Funny People. This probably would have been number 1 if it wasn't for the ending. I sensed that perhaps the studio pressured Apatow to make a happy ending and have Adam Sandler and Seth Rogen be friends at the end. I think the film should have ended with the curtain closing in on Adam Sandler and him dying alone. I just did not see that character, a character that self-centered, ever changing. And the ending of the movie would have just felt a lot deeper. But overall, this was a good film. At number 2, The 40-Year-Old Virgin, tons of laughs with that Apatow emotional core. And at number 1, Knocked Up, just because I felt like I laughed a little bit more in this movie than for 40-Year-Old Virgin. But number 1 and 2 are clearly his best films. Apatow always gives us solid comedies with likable characters that we get strongly involved with emotionally. I just hope that for his next project he finds a lead actor that matches his own talent level.